Now look, I want to start this video with something I almost never do, which is just be completely straight with you about what this video actually is. Because I've been watching a lot of commentary content in this space lately, and I've noticed something that genuinely bothers me. There's a whole genre of hip-hop business breakdown videos where someone sits in front of a camera and delivers speculation, real actual guesswork, with the exact same energy and authority as confirmed fact. Same delivery, same serious voice, same I pulled this from the paperwork framing, and then you go look for the paperwork and it's not there. That's not analysis. That's theater. And the audience deserves better than that. So here's the deal for this video. When I'm telling you something that's on the record, confirmed, reported, documented, I'm going to say so. And when I'm giving you my read on what it means, my take on the strategy, my interpretation of the pattern, I'm going to say that too. Because the opinion part is actually the interesting part. You don't need me to dress it up as fact to make it worth watching. With that said, let's get into it. Because the business story around Kendrick Lamar and PG Lang, and the contrast with what's been happening on Drake's side, is genuinely one of the most fascinating industry stories I've seen play out in hip-hop in years. Like, legitimately fascinating. You don't need to exaggerate it. The real version is already extraordinary. Leave a like if you want the real breakdown, not just the hype. Let's go. So let's start from the beginning because I think most people still don't have a full picture of what PG Lang has been building. And I get it, they don't exactly hold press conferences. That's kind of the whole point. Here's what's confirmed. Confirmed: PG Lang is a company co-founded by Kendrick Lamar and his longtime creative partner Dave Free. It operates publicly, visibly, on the record as a label imprint, a management company, a creative agency, and a film/television production house. Those four arms are documented. You can see the output. You can see the clients. You can trace the work. The label side signed Aluna Baby Keem, who is Kendrick's cousin, and has been involved in the rollout of other artists in their orbit. Confirmed: Baby Keem's The Melodic Blue came out on PG Lang in partnership with PG Lang and Columbia Records in 2021, and it debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200. That's not an accident. That's what a label that knows what it's doing looks like out of the gate. The management arm is quieter by design. Confirmed: Kendrick Lamar himself is managed through PG Lang's structure. The wider roster beyond that is not fully publicly disclosed, which is deliberate. You'll notice that a lot of what PG Lang does lives outside the press cycle by choice. The creative agency arm is where it gets interesting to me, because this is the piece that separates PG Lang from every other rapper's vanity label setup. Confirmed: PG Lang handled the creative direction for campaigns, including the widely reported South Park collaboration with Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I want to be transparent here. Reported. This has been reported by multiple outlets, but details about so the bigger the touring business, the more financial independence the artist accumulates outside the label's economic reach. If PG Lang is capturing a meaningful portion of that touring revenue at the infrastructure level, management fees, production company cuts, merchandise, then every sold-out stadium date is simultaneously building the independent war chest. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how the math works. And it's the same math that Jay-Z used to build Roc Nation's independence from the major label system, use the touring and 360 deal income to fund the infrastructure, then use the infrastructure to eventually renegotiate or walk away from the label relationship altogether. I genuinely believe PG Lang is running a version of that same playbook. Consciously, deliberately. Whether they end up actually launching a fully independent streaming platform, which some trademark filings have reportedly hinted at, or whether they use the infrastructure as leverage to negotiate better terms with their existing label partners, the trajectory is clearly toward more control, not less. The evidence for that is in the behavior, not in anything anybody has announced. Okay, so this is the part of the story that's gotten a lot of attention lately, and I want to be careful here about separating signal from noise. Reported: there have been reports, based on trademark database filings, that entities connected to PG Lang have filed for trademarks in categories that would be consistent with a streaming platform or digital distribution service. If you want to look this up yourself, and I'd encourage you to, the USPTO trademark database is publicly certified. Companies, especially entertainment companies, file trademarks in broad categories as a matter of legal hygiene, to protect optionality. Filing a trademark in the streaming platform category doesn't mean you're building a streaming platform in any near-term meaningful sense. It means your lawyers are doing their jobs by protecting the brand in an adjacent space. That said, when you look at the combination of signals together, the film production infrastructure, the independent release capability they demonstrated with certain rollouts, the touring revenue base, the trademark activity, I think it's reasonable to interpret all of that as a company that is deliberately building toward more independence from the major label system. Not necessarily a full departure. Not necessarily a Netflix-scale streaming platform tomorrow. but a company that is systematically reducing the points of dependency on the traditional infrastructure. That's my interpretation, based on the pattern of behavior, not based on insider information I don't have. The honest version of this story is interesting enough without dressing it up. Alright, now we need to talk about Drake and OVO, because you cannot tell the PG Lang story in 2024 and 2025 without addressing what was happening on the other side of the culture's biggest rivalry. And I want to do this carefully because there's a version of this conversation that just piles on Drake creatively and culturally, and that's a different video. What I'm interested in here is the business dimension, because I think the business dimension is actually the more revealing story. Confirmed Drake and Kendrick Lamar engaged in the most high-profile rap beef in years in 2024. Confirmed, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar became one of the biggest rap songs of the year, charted at #1, and went on to win multiple Grammy Awards including Record of the Year and Best Rap Song. The cultural verdict was delivered loudly and clearly. Confirmed Drake sued Universal Music Group in late 2024, alleging that the label improperly promoted Not Like Us and engaged in practices that artificially boosted the song's streaming numbers. Confirmed, that lawsuit was subsequently dismissed. The exact legal reasoning for the dismissal has been reported, and if you're interested in the details, the court filings are public record. My take on that lawsuit? Take filing and then having a lawsuit dismissed is not a neutral outcome. You don't walk away from a dismissed lawsuit looking stronger. The public filing of the suit against your own label is a signal of a deteriorating relationship, one that was already clearly strained given what Drake had said publicly about wanting creative and contractual changes. The dismissal without resolution doesn't clean that up. It just closes the legal chapter, while leaving the underlying relationship tension very much on the table. Confirmed Drake also released multiple projects in a compressed window. The volume of releases in a short period was notable and widely commented on in the press. Take my read on that strategy, and it is my read, not confirmed internal knowledge, is that it reads like an artist trying to. Volume of releases does not automatically translate to sustained cultural impact, and the conversation around those projects largely confirmed that. Now here's where I'm going to be very specific about what I know versus what I'm speculating about, because this is the part of the story that's had the most dramatic framing in various corners of the internet, and I think some of that framing has outrun the facts. Reported, verify current status. There have been reports that Drake sold a stake in OVO, the brand, which includes OVO Sound, the label imprint, and OVO the clothing/merchandise line, to Authentic Brands Group. The reported figure in various outlets has been around 50% of the brand equity. I want to flag details around the exact structure of this deal, what was sold at what valuation, and Drake is one of the most commercially successful recording artists in the history of the medium. Streaming numbers don't lie, and his catalog numbers remain extraordinary. What the OVO/ABG situation might represent is a pivot in how his brand and business operate, from a founder-controlled independent operation toward a more structured, institutionalized arrangement. Whether that's good or bad for Drake personally depends entirely on the terms, which we don't fully know. The interesting contrast with PG Lang is structural, not personal. Take, PG Lang appears to be moving toward more ownership and more control. OVO, through the ABG deal, appears to be moving toward a different kind of institutional arrangement. Those are genuinely different philosophies about how to build an entertainment business, and they will produce different outcomes over time. Which approach is better probably depends on what your actual goal is. Let me give you some historical context here because I think it actually illuminates what's happening right now better than any speculation about internal strategy documents. Confirmed Jay-Z founded Rockefeller Records as an independent label in 1995 with Damon Dash and Kareem Biggs Burke. Confirmed he subsequently sold a majority stake to Def Jam/Universal, then later acquired Def Jam, becoming its president, then departed and founded Roc Nation, which operates as a full-service entertainment company with a sports agency, music management, a record label, film production, and other verticals. That trajectory took about 15 years from founding to the fully independent infrastructure. Confirmed Jay-Z also co-founded Tidal, a streaming service, in 2015 when he acquired a majority stake in what had been Wimp/Aspiro. Confirmed he later sold a significant portion of that to Square, now Block, Jack Dorsey's financial technology company, in a deal that valued Tidal at roughly $300 million. Take the Jay-Z trajectory as the closest historical comparison to what PG Lang appears to be building, in terms of the arc and the philosophy, but there are meaningful differences. Confirmed, he's been involved in the strategic and creative direction of PG Lang since its founding. Take my read, and this is entirely my interpretation, is that Dave Free is functioning less as a traditional music industry executive, and more like a hybrid of a studio head and a brand architect. The work that's come out of the PG Lang creative agency isn't music industry work. the NBA Players Association campaign, the visual identity of major cultural moments, the film development deals. That's the profile of someone who's thinking about entertainment and media at a scale that goes well beyond what most people mean when they talk about a rapper's label. I also think Dave Free's specific role, being the person who executes while Kendrick is the person who creates, is one of the reasons PG Lang moves with the consistency it does. The creative partner structure, where one person is primarily the artistic engine and one person is primarily the operational engine, has historically produced some of the most durable entertainment companies. Think Berry Gordy and the Motown Machine. Think Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz at Desilu. The combination of genuine artistry and genuine operational that methodology can be reasonable or it can be wildly off, and without seeing actual revenue, margin, and contract data, you cannot know which it is. We don't know the terms of their label partnerships. PG Lang has operated in partnership with major label distribution infrastructure, not entirely outside it. The specific terms of those arrangements, ownership splits, distribution rates, marketing commitments, are not public, which means some of the complete independence framing is probably an overstatement of where things actually stand right now. We don't know how the Paramount film deal is structured, what the back-end looks like, or what timeline it's operating on. We don't know whether the trademark filings in the streaming category represent active product development, legal protection of future optionality, or something in between. I think being honest about the limits of what's knowable is actually what makes the analysis more credible, not less. The version of this story where PG Lang is definitely, certainly, provably building the next Netflix and Drake is definitely, certainly, provably about to lose everything, that version is more exciting and less accurate than the real version. The real version is, one company appears to be building toward greater independence and control at a moment when the other has made moves that appear to reduce independence and control. That's meaningful. That's the real story. And it's interesting enough on its own. Let me zoom out for a second because I think the Kendrick/PG Lang story is actually most interesting when you look at it as a symptom of a larger shift in how the music industry is being restructured. Confirmed, the major label system, Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, Warner Music Group, controls an enormous percentage of the global recorded music market. The three majors between them account for the majority of commercial music distribution globally. That has been true for decades. Confirmed, but the tools that made the major label gatekeeping function so powerful, physical distribution, radio promotion, retail relationships, have been substantially disrupted by streaming. The role of the major label in 2025 is genuinely different from what it was in 2005 or 1995. They still provide significant value. Advances, marketing infrastructure, playlist relationships with streaming platforms, international distribution reach. But the gap between what you can accomplish with a major label deal and what you can accomplish independently has narrowed materially. Take what I think PG Lang represents, at the level of industry significance, is one of the first genuine attempts by a rapper at Kendrick's commercial tier to build a fully vertically integrated entertainment infrastructure, while still at the peak of their commercial relevance. Most artist independence stories happen either early in a career, before the major label deals kick in, or late in a career, after the leverage has diminished. Building independent infrastructure at the peak, while the leverage from streaming performance and touring revenue is maximum, is a different move. It's harder to negotiate against an artist who doesn't need you, while they're still the biggest thing in the culture. Take whether that attempt succeeds fully, whether PG Lang is still operating at this level in 10 years, whether the streaming platform ambitions, if real, ever materialize, whether the film division achieves the kind of scale the music side has, I genuinely don't know. The music industry is littered with artist-run ventures that look transformative at the moment of launch and faded. But the architecture being assembled is more coherent than most of those earlier attempts, and the team executing it is more sophisticated. That combination doesn't guarantee success, but it changes the probability distribution. Okay, let's bring this home. Because I've been doing business analysis for the last 20 minutes and I want to end with something that's about the culture, not just the spreadsheets. The Kendrick/Drake rivalry resolved, in the public's perception, as decisively as any rap beef resolves. Not Like Us won the Grammys. The Super Bowl halftime show, by nearly any metric of cultural reach, was a landmark moment. The Grand National Tour sold out stadiums. The cultural conversation for this cycle pointed in one direction. Take what I find genuinely interesting is that the cultural victory and the business architecture seem to be moving in the same direction simultaneously. Normally those things diverge. The artist who wins the culture moment doesn't always win the business moment. The artist who builds the smart business infrastructure isn't always the one who also wins the hit single. The fact that both seem to be aligning for PG Lang at the same time is unusual. It doesn't happen often. And when it does happen, When an artist or company captures both the cultural authority and the business infrastructure at the same moment, the resulting leverage is compounding rather than additive. That's what I think the real PG Lang story is. Not a conspiracy, not a secret empire being revealed through mystery paperwork. Just a company that is, very visibly, if you're paying attention, doing multiple things right at the same time, in an industry where doing one thing right is hard enough. Take for Drake's side. I think the more interesting question than is OVO finished, is what the next creative and business move actually looks like. Because Drake's catalog and streaming numbers remain extraordinary, and the ABG deal, whatever its exact terms, presumably provided capital and infrastructure that could be deployed strategically. The era of the Kendrick/Drake beef being the dominant cultural narrative is probably over. What comes after it from both sides is the more interesting story. And that story hasn't been written yet. Before I send you anywhere, here's the actual summary of what I think is confirmed, what's my take, and what you should form your own opinion about. What's confirmed? PG Lang is a multi-arm entertainment company with real, documented output across music, management, creative agency work, and film production. The Grand National Tour was one of the biggest commercial touring events in hip-hop in recent memory. Kendrick Lamar won a rap beef by nearly every metric the culture uses to measure those things, including the Grammys. Drake sued Universal, the lawsuit was dismissed, and his label released multiple projects in a compressed window with mixed results. There have been reports of an OVO/ABG deal, though exact terms aren't fully public. My take: PG Lang is building toward independence from the major label system in a way that's more structurally sophisticated than most artist-run ventures. The business architecture, label, management, creative agency, film production, touring infrastructure, is coherent and intentional, not scattered. Dave Free is underappreciated as an operational mind. The OVO/ABG deal, if accurately reported, represents a different philosophy about how to manage a brand, one more oriented toward institutional licensing than founder control. Both approaches have trade-offs. What you should decide for yourself: whether PG Lang's ambitions for a streaming platform or full media independence are realistic, whether the OVO deal is a smart capital move or a surrender of control, whether the next chapter for both artists, whoever that serves, is more interesting than the chapter we just finished watching. I'm going to keep covering this story as it develops because the business side of hip-hop is genuinely as interesting as the cultural side, and the two are more connected than people usually treat them. If you want the next breakdown, I'm looking specifically at how the independent streaming ecosystem has changed for artists since 2020, and what that means for any artist trying to do what PG Lang appears to be attempting. That's coming. Hit subscribe if you want to be there when it does. And if you've got a take on any of this, especially if you think I got something wrong or missed something, drop it in the comments. Actual analysis I don't have. Real information I haven't seen. Arguments I haven't considered. I read those comments and they make the next video better. That's a genuine offer, not a performance. See you in the next one. Al Tour, Not Like Us, Grammy, Drake, Universal lawsuit, Authentic Brands, OVO, hip-hop label independence, music business breakdown, artist independence, major labels, Roc Nation comparison, hip-hop commentary, OVO sound future, Kendrick Lamar empire, Drake OVO deal, music industry deep dive.